Check this thing out. Like, it's here. So this is it. This is the Nebula Blue Cybertruck. It's done. And we did find a couple things that were interesting about these trucks. One of the most notable things that we found was this is our first truly seamless car. There's a lot of vehicles where we can get it down to just a couple seams, but there are still a few that are necessary for the longevity of the film or for panels that it makes sense to put them because we can hide them well and they might be replaceable parts like bumpers, sometimes the front splitters, places we know we're gonna pick up a lot of rock chips. But this truck, has 0 seams. You could not find a single seam on this truck if you tried. And that's because of the way the panels are designed. We can do everything in one piece, which is beautiful from a PPF perspective. Second thing that we noticed about this truck, and we've talked about it a little bit here and there, are the problems that people have been encountering with the front bumper and pretty much the whole truck. Because of its design being just straight metal, when you have bug guts, bird droppings, things that will typically etch your paint, they'll still etch the metal. But the problem with this is that it happens a lot quicker and there's nothing to get rid of that etching once it's occurred. So some amount of film on this car seems to be pretty necessary just from an overall longevity standpoint. You're gonna wanna put something on there to protect it because if you're on a long road trip or you're stuck in traffic, you might not get home in time to clean it off before it etches the metal. It can happen that fast. In fact, in some of the Tesla Motor Club forums, we've been seeing it happening as quickly as an hour. There are a couple other notable things that we want to talk about on this truck. Wrapping is a big deal. See here just how tight these corners and edges are. So on a normal car, especially a normal Tesla, you get a lot more room to wrap in here. Whereas this, it's super, super sharp. You need to make sure it's very well heat locked and it's gripping nicely, or else it's just gonna start tearing itself back up. We just popped open the Frunk here and you can see there's this piece that runs right in here. It makes it very tricky. And here we actually went in and then over a little extra and locked all of this down, because if you're just trying to wrap into this 2 or 3 centimeter area, you're gonna have a lot of difficulty getting this film to stick. And so you can kind of see just how far we need to take it to make sure that this is properly locked in and isn't gonna come up. And pieces like the doors, the pillars, the fenders, you get a decent amount of room to really get the film around to grip onto that metal. But areas like the front bumper, there's a little bit more work that needs to go into it. And one of the things that was instrumental in helping us get this really into it was removing this whole piece. And so I can bring this down a little bit and you can see just how well that's wrapped and it's staying. But to get a deep wrap, especially in this top area here, you really need to remove that front bumper. When you take that front bumper off, you'll see on this front fender too, there's a piece that feeds right up against it. And so you really can't wrap too deep into those areas. We're noticing a lot of trouble with those spots lifting back up, coming back up, until we were able to actually remove that front bumper and get a much better wrap. So let's talk a little bit about this film that's on this car. This is Nanolink's Nebula Blue color changing PPF. And so what's the difference between color change PPF and regular PPF? Well, regular PPF is traditionally gloss or matte and it's pretty translucent. So you're not really changing your car's overall color, you're just adding a sacrificial layer. And in some cases, people are putting the matte on a gloss car to convert it to a matte car, in which case you're getting a little bit of customization, but typically these things are just meant to keep a car's look that way for a certain duration of time. You know, keeping the rock chips, the scratches, any sort of chemical harm off of the car as your sacrificial layer, as we might call it. Nanolink and colored PPF isn't too much different. You're still gonna get all the same perks. You're still gonna get a 10-year warranty, you're still gonna get impact, scratch protection, protection from those chemical etching. It's the same kind of sacrificial layer that we always talk about with regular PPF, like gloss or matte. The biggest difference here is the color. Color changing PPF is designed to be kind of a new step from vinyl. A lot of vinyl is used for customization currently on cars to change their color or appearance or give them accents. but it's really only like a 2 to 3 year product. This stuff is a 10-year product. It's gonna give you a lot more protection, a lot more longevity, and there's a couple different things that you can do with it that make your car really stand out. This has a purling and a color shift to it. And so you'll notice as we walk around the car, some areas might look more purple than blue, and then they'll switch back. And this is all due to that color shifting effect. Nanolink has really been good at producing colored film. We've offered it in the past, but it's been kind of a up in the air subject because there have been films that we weren't super happy with from an installation side, and there are films that we weren't super happy with from a longevity side. And some things that we've noticed from previous color change films is that if you overstretch, you might tear the color or disrupt it, or the adhesive on the backing just isn't up to snuff for some of the things that we want to do. But Nanolink has solved a couple of those problems really well. This film stretches easily and is great for doing Teslas because we do have to give it quite a bit of stretch on that back hatch. But the other thing that they really did well was the adhesive on this film. It grips super nicely and it works very similarly to all the films we're used to working with. So moving from doing primarily regular gloss and matte over to this PPF wasn't very hard for us because we can use a lot of the same processes. There's always going to be a few tricks or things that are just a little bit different manufacturer to manufacturer, but this one we've overall been the most happy with. And I'm sure you've probably seen by now Chicago Auto Pros reviewing this film and a couple other pretty big shops in the nation taking a look at it. Now, I think Nanolink is going to be a pretty interesting product as they evolve and start rolling out more and more colors. We have a few more color changes coming down the road. I think up next we're going to be doing a Mercedes in a new color, and we want to show this as much as possible because it does open up a new avenue of customization and protection. All that being said, this is the Nebula Blue Cybertruck. We're excited that this one's going to be going home soon, and we hope that you see it somewhere around the city. Snag a photo of it and tag us at Authentic Details ATX.